Good morning, Madonna here from New Leaf Natural Therapies. I hope everyone on the planet is doing okay at the moment. In your part of the world, we are so lucky here in Australia. We are just about, no, we're not back to normal, but we're getting there. So a lot of the guys are happy. The sports are starting to be back. Some stadiums have allowed 1,000 people, coming up to 10,000 people soon. So apparently that's the most important thing in our part of the world at the moment. I was asked to do a video on menopausal symptoms. So all the fun stuff, the hot flashes, the dryness, the mood swings, that type of thing. And it's something that is a real challenge for a lot of people. And it's always not easy to find the cause because it depends on your particular body. So when I'm working out what people need, I sort of need to have a look at their underlying history, what's going on. Have they had issues with their cycle over many, many years, which can give a bit of an idea as to where they're at with their estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels. So people with, say, polycystic ovarian disease, quite often they have that excess testosterone. The estrogen is converting into testosterone. So doing a lot of it really comes down to detoxing the cell membranes, because plastics, I'm sure you know, really mess with, they are endocrine disruptors. So on your cell walls, and there's lots of research about this these days, there's so much plastic in our water supplies, there's plastic in our foods now, because if we're eating fish, the fish can be having the water has plastic, it ends up in the fish, so we can't get salt, it's one of these things. It's a real challenge these days. The best we can do is the best we can do. Choose the healthiest options you have for your foods. That's the choice we need to make on the planet at the moment if we're wanting to look healthy, especially to protect ourselves from all the big stuff coming. So when I'm doing menopause, I have a look at someone's history. If someone has a history of, say, polycystic ovaries, I will actually look at their estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels. Quite often get their cortisol levels as well done through testing, but there's a specific way you need to look at that. If someone has had stress, high levels of stress long term, that's going to mess with estrogen levels, because as your ovaries stop making your hormones as we get older, or the pituitary ovarian connection stops working, then your adrenal glands are supposed to take over some production of hormones like your estrogen. So if your adrenals are worn out or simply not working as effectively because of long-term stress, that is a real problem. So sometimes that's about, okay, what do we need in the background? So most of my supplements for boosting estrogen, boosting progesterone, actually have adrenal herbs in them as well. So things like rhodiola and withania and Siberian ginseng or Korean ginseng. So things that are nourishing to the nervous system. So there's lots and lots of studies with withania, ashwagandha, out there for the nervous system. So that's one thing. Are the adrenal glands exhausted? So that can really make the impact of the hot flushes much worse if the imbalance with the hormones is bigger. So that's one thing. Exercise. We've got to keep exercising as we get older. It's the way that we build our muscle mass. We keep the ATP, our energy. We create ATP in our muscles. So when our muscle mass starts to lower, which happens as our estrogen levels start to drop, so you've got to keep that energy going with exercise, because it's then during the sleep for the next 24, 48 hours after exercise where we release growth hormone. So if we're not sleeping very well, you're not going to release growth hormone, and our body can't heal itself as well, and we can't build that muscle mass. And growing old gracefully, it's all about the amount of our muscle mass and our muscle quality. So that's really important. But yeah, so there's lots of herbs I use for. There's things like my products in Australia, there's a Metagenics. I know there's Metagenics available around the world. So my products are things like Femestraplex and O-Lift and O-Clear, because sometimes you need to clear out the dodgy estrogens as well. And there's also a product called Meta I3C. So I3C is indole 3-carbinol. So that is for when you actually need to get dodgy estrogens out of the body. So if someone's cancer in the uterus, ovaries, cervix, breasts, then I3C is something that you can take, to help to prevent breast cancer, cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer. So all our reproductive organs. But we need to be thinking on a daily basis if we want to age gracefully. You need to be thinking, what are my cell receptors doing? What am I putting into my body? How is my body working, and what do I need to release from my body? So am I taking in good nutrition? Am I getting out the waste products? So sometimes antioxidants, I do a test called an Oligo Scan, and the Oligo Scan, and this can be done lots of places in the world, and I'm sure there's many other things you can do, like hair mineral analysis and stuff like that. But with the Oligo Scan, the first page is mineral levels in the body, the second page is heavy metals in the body, and the third page is reading the proteins in your body and how it's impacting on the health of many, many of your organs. So therefore, basically with that, if I find that someone's really low in, say, magnesium is going to absolutely have an effect on your ability to create energy, your ability to get your hot flushes under control, the ability to sleep really well and therefore create your growth hormone overnight. So that's going to have an impact. If someone is high in free radical damage without the oxidative protection, then their body is going downhill. You're actually creating more damage in your body than your body is able to repair on a daily basis. Now, so that can sometimes things like oxidant protection products, so things with our antioxidants, things like resveratrol, which is in red wine, which is why red wine is considered better than white wine. So things like resveratrol, zinc, vitamins A, C, and E, herbs like grapeseed extract, those types of things are really good antioxidants. Goji berries, there's lots of them out there. So antioxidants are really important for sopping up free radical damage. Everyone's different. What works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. It can be a matter of trial and error. But with my products like O-Lift and Fem Estraplex, if someone's having like 30 hot flushes through the day and they're getting dryness and soreness during sex and that sort of thing, then I'll actually really do a big dose. So I'll do, say, 4 Fem Estraplex a day, alternating daily with 4 O-Lift initially. So the full dose should be like 1 or 2 or 3 a day. But what you want to do is sort of get in there and really boost these feminine hormones so that the body is utilizing them. And then I start getting people to cut down their doses until they're feeling like, okay, I've got this now. My moods are better, my energy is better, the flushes aren't so bad. And then if the flushes start to be bad again and they go up because of stress at home, stress with the kids, stress at work, whatever, then you up the dose again. There's no problem whatsoever increasing and lowering supplements if they're safe supplements, which, products like Metagenics will be exceptionally safe because there's so much rigorous testing and quality control with them. Obviously, I do liquid herbs as well, and some of the favorite liquid herbs are things like black cohosh, sage, ziziphus. Ziziphus is really great because it's good for both sleep and calming your energy, calming your temperature. So it's sort of really nice for both of them. So, our licorice. So if you've got blood pressure issues, you shouldn't use licorice. But if you don't have blood pressure issues, then licorice and peony are 2 herbs that have been used for, a long time. Many Chinese studies done on peony and licorice. And basically they help with all sorts of hormone imbalances. I love also things like GABA and 5-HTP, because those sort of nutrients also help us to get into a sleep. And sleep is so important when we're looking at hormone balancing. Most of our sex hormones are made at nighttime again. So while we are trying to sleep, this is the time when we pick up most of our sex hormones. Things like acupuncture can really help, and if you've got someone who you really trust with kinesiology in your area, go for it, because sometimes it'll be the stress that's really impacting on your hormones. There's a real hierarchy in your body with stress with hormones in general. So first is your stress hormone. So if your body thinks you're about to get eaten by a tiger, does not matter what your sex hormones are doing, because your body's going to go, no, 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 having a baby is a bad idea. Then your body, the next one after that is blood sugar balancing, because blood sugar balancing, once again, it's linked in very much with our stress hormones. So if you are having sugar through the day, or carbohydrate through the day, then you're going to be throwing your insulin up and down all day long. That's going to impact on your hormones. So it can put you into a heightened state of cortisol and so you can get that burst of energy after a sugary meal, but you also get the corresponding dump in energy. So I had a lady in recently and I did some kinesiology on her, and she'd had breast cancer 18 years ago. She's sort of mid-50s. So she had breast cancer quite some time ago. And what actually muscle tested up for her was a combination of O-lift, 4 a day one day, and then Resistex, 4 a day the next day, so alternating daily. So Resistex is all about insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is part of the whole Syndrome X. So Syndrome X, I think they started talking about that in around 2000, something like that. And Syndrome X is a combination of not being able to move abdominal fat, sugar cravings. It ends up linking to cardiovascular disease and diabetes, and real imbalances. Polycystic ovaries are sort of in there as well. So when we've got insulin resistance, it has a huge impact on several systems of the body. We know that sugar and carbohydrates increase diabetes, heart disease, that sort of thing. So anyway, so with this particular woman, it was alternating actually the insulin resistance. Now, when she had breast cancer going back 18 years ago, or whenever it was, she was a triple negative. Quite often with breast cancer and it's triple negative, the doctors freak out because they, oh my God, I don't know what it is. But quite often insulin is the driver, because insulin drives cancer production as well as dodgy estrogens. It's not healthy estrogens that drives breast cancer, it's dodgy estrogens, and that's when once again you've got to cleanse the cell receptors, so get rid of the free radical damage in your body. So once again, thinking antioxidants, and of course I love things like my Brock shots and N-acetylcysteine and zeolites, and my detox, huge doses of vitamin C. So if you're getting good products, you can really increase those things. Making sure that you have your 2 to 3 cupfuls of vegetables a couple of times a day, the things that are high in sulforaphane, like your broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, wasabi, Brussels sprouts, those sort of things are all really, they're great. But you do lose a lot of the sulforaphane just by cutting them, just by cooking them. So just having it, we've got to eat our veggies. We've got to eat our veggies. So I think really, if we can, which no one can, 2 to 3 cupfuls of veggies 2 to 3 times a day is, bang on. But how many people can eat that amount of vegetables? And of course, one of the things that's also been helped, and this sort of changes what I've just said again, intermittent fasting really suits some people for menopausal symptoms, because the concept is that, just say your daily calories are say 1,500 calories a day. I think last time I did a VLA bioimpedance screening, I was at around 1,550 calories a day to maintain my current body mass, and I'm 68 kilos, something like that. Don't know what that is in pounds, but I'm about that at the moment, so I'm in the overweight category. But basically my body wants around 1,500 to maintain that level of current mass. Now, what happens with intermittent fasting is that if you say only eat between say 1 and 6 p.m, so you give yourself a 5-hour window, it means you've got 19 hours in the day when your body is burning body fat. Because what ends up happening, especially with abdominal fat, our abdominal fat actually drives a lot of hormones. So once our tummy fat, once our BMI, our body mass index, is up over 30, our tummy fat becomes the major driver of hormones in the body. Makes at least 32 inflammatory hormones, including things like cortisol, and it converts our good estrogens into toxic estrogens, our good estrogens into testosterone. So it really, really messes with our hormones. So that's why I use the HCG process in my clinic so much with women who, when I'm looking at them, I can see they're just over that BMI of 30 to 40, and if they lose 10, 20 kilos over several rounds of HCG, it's going to change their lives because they've reduced the ability for that tummy fat to be the core hormone producer in the body. And it gets them back into, okay, now we can actually heal what's going on and start looking at the hormones rather than working against biochemistry in the body. That's because of our weight. And weight loss isn't easy. That's why I love HCG, because HCG actually eliminates fat cells. So love it. Anyway, I hope this is, I've got another client arriving in a minute. So hopefully that's been useful. And I sort of think getting that sleep right, you know, with a lot of those same hormones, you know, your 5-HTP, your GABA, herbs like hops and valerian and passion flower and Californian poppy and ziziphus, you know, getting some herbs in there that really nourish the nervous system. St. John's wort, you know, it's sort of, it doubles up on, you know, helping with everything, calming the nervous system, boosting your sleep patterns, getting rid of those blue lights out of your bedrooms. Go turn off your lights in your bedroom, and how many lights are still on? Those little lights are really messing with our melatonin production. So you've got to stop your lights an hour or 2 or 3 before bed. Or otherwise your brain is still alert and awake. Anyway, take care, stay away from the craziness. We'll all get through this. Okay, bye.